From the 915 to H-Town, from the Panhandle Plains to the Valley, and everywhere in between, this is the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Join me, Hector Cano, as we cover the Texas high school club and college soccer landscape, along with an inside look at the college soccer recruiting scene. The 50/50 Podcast is a platform about the people and for the people who are dedicated to the beautiful game. Here we go. It's another edition of Inside Texas High School Soccer, Season 6, Episode 5. I am your host, Coach Hector Cano, and I am joined by my lovely Mr. Freezing RPI himself, my lovely co-host, Rafa C. Coach Castorena. Rafa, how are you, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Excited to be here. It's been 3 weeks, man, since we had an episode. So excited to finally be back. We had a couple of false starts, right? We were trying to get one off over a week ago. Had to make some adjustments a couple of times, and then the good old Mother Nature kind of played a factor in rescheduling certain games, so we decided to push our this episode back a little bit. So, but here we are. As a reminder, we are brought to you by our proud partner, our title sponsor in Texas Veteran Realtor, Texas Vet, TexasVeteranRealtor.com, Jeanette Spain. This episode is brought to you by our proud partner and title sponsor, Jeanette Spain, at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, the go-to realtor for military and veteran families in Central Texas. With her cover and move, I got your six approach. You focus on the move while she handles the contracts, all the deadlines, and all the details. She does it. I've seen it firsthand. This is not just a script read or anything like that. This is like she lives, she practices what she preaches. Got to get on there, TexasVeteranRealtor.com. If you want a realtor who works like you and fights for you, then you need to visit TexasVeteranRealtor.com for your free no pressure strategy session. Again, that's Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com. All right, brother. So it's been 3 weeks. I know you've been all around the world, just like Carmen Sandiego. What's new? What's the latest?
Just a ride back from Laredo. I've been there since I think last. Actually, I started in Eagle Pass and then I went to Laredo, which the cold weather wasn't hitting there yet, except for Tuesday when I was in Eagle Pass. So it was nice and warm.
Yeah.
I didn't have the chaos at the HEB over there in Laredo than the ones here when I came back and I saw everything wiped off from the from the shelves. I was like, I hear you. Like, but I was able to catch it, drive in, watch a couple games.
Mm-hmm.
A little stop by, hung out with Harry.
Yeah.
Got to see a very exciting game between Warren and Taft. Both the boys and the girls. It was both exciting games. So that was a great game. And
so you shared a little bit on our chat with that, but what are your thoughts that you can share on here, looking at those? Because you covered probably about four or five games this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thoughts?
Speaking with the girls' side, Warren's the real deal. They got a great squad. I mean, they can really touch the ball. And
you're talking about the boys?
The lady Warriors, yeah. And they can touch the ball. They have a lot of speed. They just swarm to the ball. If they lose the ball, they go back and go get it. And they kind of overwhelmed a little bit early on with Taft. But with Taft, you ever thought maybe it was kind of maybe a possible rebellion leader for Coach Davis, because losing your starter keeper,
right.
But they held their own, and then the goal that they allowed, it was right at the buzzer at the end of the half. So a little controversy there because if it doesn't go in before the zero, because it doesn't count, and I guess really there was no way for the ref to kind of determine it, but they granted the goal, and that kind of changed the momentum a little bit. But Taft was a little aggressive, just unlucky.
Yeah. But I ran into Coach Davis from Taft at in the Woodlands, right? The Woodlands Showcase. Woodlands is the Lady Highlander Invitational, and one of the things I could tell both of us, we were kind of in that same spot, more so him in terms of he's built such a great program there, so much good talent, and of course they've graduated over the course of the last 2 to 3 years, so much that he's graduated. So it's very much in terms of, I guess you could call it a rebuild, but at the same time, also the culture he has there, I think they're going to be just fine. You know what? Because of what he's built there and their culture, and he has them so well coached. I can't go against a Coach Scott Davis squad that I think somewhere in there, in the halfway through probably the first round of district play, they're going to start to figure some things out, and they're going to surprise people. So,
Yeah, I think they'll make the right adjustments. Like yesterday, kind of
mhm,
like I said, after that second goal came, kind of things kind of you know Warren just took the momentum on that. But I can tell you this for that district, I think there's like at least it's a 5 team deep district, and
mhm.
it's gonna be our barn burner because you also have a really very good Sotomayor team. You
And
got
this is
O'Connor,
what, 28, I believe,
yeah,
28.
26A, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
with
28-6.
O'Connor, and then you could throw Taft in the mix and Warren. So
Mhm.
I think Brandon played at Gus, so they got to win too. So you can't always
Yeah.
count them out, even though they've struggled just a little bit. But
Mhm.
like I said, it's still a competitive district. On the flip side, with the boys, another great game. Kudos to the Warren boys. They've pulled out some some 1-0 wins the last
Right,
few
right.
games, and hey, but if you can win like that, tight games like that, it's gonna pay off in the end, especially in the playoffs. So, but keep an eye on the boys Taft team. They're a very dangerous team. I know they got kind of a little shellacked a couple weeks ago by Marshall,
Mhm.
but but the games that I guess I saw them play against Stevens, and then this game, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with. And that's another district that's also deep too. So, like I said, I know Warren and Harlan's kind of the top two, but the Southwater boys also are making some noise as well. So it's going to be kind of a barn burner of a district to see who ends up winning the district title.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Great stuff. Overall, top match you liked the most of all the ones you covered, which one? What do you think?
Ooh, actually, there was one I went a few weeks ago. Uh, that Southwest Laredo United game. That was a that
Wasn't
was
that a
that was
was that a game or was that a
that
scrimmage?
was that was actually a final for that
Was it?
tournament, and
Oh, yeah, it was there yeah, okay, 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 yeah.
that
That was the
one was a
first weekend, right? First
yeah,
weekend?
that one lived up to you know kind of the hype and all that, and you got to kudos to United. I think they made the right
Mhm.
adjustments at the half after getting the equalizer, and
Right, right.
they just didn't you know give up the lead. And I know there's some, like I said, officiating sometimes. I know some of the fans are not happy about it, but it's just kind of the
Dude,
way it
when have
goes.
you ever met anybody that was ever happy with any kind of officiating, right?
Yeah. So I mean that was, like I said, you know, one of the better games I've gone
Mhm.
to. And also on the girls' side, like I said, I've been to the Soto and O'Connor game. Was a great game. That was a really
Gotcha.
good matchup. So like I said,
Yeah.
hopefully, like I said, I'll be in Austin this coming week. Hopefully, the temperatures improve. So maybe I'll try to see if I can catch a game on Tuesday night.
Awesome. So, hey, we excited about today's show. We have we're going to bring her in shortly, Coach Aaron Pointer, who is the head women's soccer coach of the Katie Freeman Golden Eagles, right in out of District 24A. So, making all kinds of history, and excited to bring her on to talk a little bit about their season thus far, plus her new role in as far as being a board member for Tasco as well. So, doing a lot of great stuff with our sport. So excited about that. Then later on, we're going to reveal the RPI, and then after that, right, second edition of Rafa's RPI, and then our debut edition of what we call the Yeah But list. Excited about this one. This is a little different, right? We're looking at 5 teams across all classifications, 5 teams on the boys' side, 5 teams on the girls' side, and kind of teams that are kind of like, hey, this is their current record. Yeah, but guess what? So they're going to projected to probably do a lot more things. They got a lot more going on than what you think, and their best days are ahead of them. So excited to talk about those teams as well. But before we bring in Coach Pointer, Rafa, one thing real quick, or what are you watching? What are you reading? What's the latest? What have you had a chance to get into lately?
Just just trying to catch up some shows that I guess from History Channel. That's the kind of my usual. They still haven't found the treasure yet. They're with the with Oak Island.
Is the
Hopefully,
Treasure Oak, or what is it called?
the Curse of Oak
Curse.
Island. Yeah,
Oh
they
yeah.
still
Oh
haven't
my
found the
God.
treasure yet. Hopefully, they'll find it soon. I guess
That's
it's
still
already.
like an ongoing active show. That's
Yeah,
still. Is it
and I
really?
think
Wow.
10 seasons long already. Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
so hopefully they'll find something out.
Yeah.
Uh, and then books haven't really gotten to books yet. I'm trying to find one. Like I said, I need to get back at. I do have like a lot of autobiographies. Actually, I
Mhm.
have a big book collection, so maybe
Yeah.
I'll start read some of those again.
Yeah.
So we'll see how
Yeah.
that goes.
Gotcha. I just saw it last night, ironically. I fell asleep right afterwards, but, saw new on Netflix with Matt Damon and, Ben Affleck, The Rip, I think it's called, right? It's pretty good. Pretty good, very good, very lots of twists. So, if you get a chance, jump on there since nobody's going anywhere this weekend, right? Jump on there, check it out. And then I'm in the middle. My daughter's got me reading, Holly, I think it's called, from, Stephen King. So just started that. So kind of slowly. I'm not much of a fiction guy, but Stephen King I make an exception for. So yeah, she's got me reading that. So if you know my daughter, right, the aspiring author, right. So I'm doing it for her. So pretty good book so far though. So can't complain. But all right, enough talk about that. We are going to go ahead and going to bring in our first guest. See if we can get her in here. Hopefully, there we go. She is Coach Erin Pointer, the head women's soccer coach of the Katie Free Golden Eagles. Coach, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. How are things out there? How's You're probably warmer where you are than our neck of the woods. How are things? How's the weather out there?
Yeah, that's the one benefit I think to living in Houston is we don't get it as bad as Dallas and Austin area and where you guys are. So it's like still 40, 30 degrees, maybe
Right.
35. Yeah,
Yeah.
not bad.
Well, it looks like we're all right. Houston, San Antonio, South Texas in general, probably a little south of the San Antonio area. Gonna definitely get some ice, right? It's just a matter of how
Mm.
much, I think, right? So, interesting stuff. So before we begin, Coach, let me get the energy drink going, right? Up the top there. All right. So, Coach, welcome. So excited to have you on, and we got multiple things we want to talk about with you. But first of all, before we start talking all shop and everything else, just how are things?
No, they're good. I can't complain. We're having a great year, having a great year at the school, year two. So, and just overall personal life and all that, everything's just coasting right along. Can't complain. It's going to be a good 2026.
There you go. Awesome. So year two, right?
Hmm.
Standing up a brand new program last year, very much in its infancy still. But thoughts from what was maybe one or the two biggest pieces of information, your biggest takeaways from standing up a new program, biggest takeaways from season one, year one, that have helped you up to this point in year two.
Ooh, I think it's more probably our biggest hurdle was, you know, you have so many kids and like every other program, you've got kids that come in at all different levels. But for us, only having sophomores and freshmen last year, it's just how can we get people to embrace leadership that, normally wouldn't see themselves in that role. And so really our sophomores and juniors this year are the ones that are going to be like our seniors, so to speak, and getting them comfortable with that. Um, so that it's been fun to kind of watch them take that leadership role on and not back away from it. So another one is just the range of experience. We've got kids that don't play, hadn't played since they were little, play club, at different levels, and just kind of getting everybody to come together and find that identity for us and how we need to play and how to teach kids to come up to like maybe a level that you're at if you have more experience, because
Mhm.
that's the best way to get kids to grow is just keeping that positive environment and finding value in everyone's role and what they bring to the team as people first.
Right. So tell us, navigating. So a program. It's weird to see a Katie school that's a 4A, right? That's very much, So navigating that, the growing area that is Katie. What are the thoughts on the school? What its the projected growth, and trying to kind of you're managing and you're building, rosters as you see now, but with what's kind of coming down, down in the future, the projections. What you kind of got one eye on the present, kind of one eye prepping for what's in the books down the road, I guess. Um, how do you manage that? How do you handle that?
I think the best advice that we have on campus and just among head coaches, like we know that we're going to be 6A in a few years, but we really can't look that far ahead. You just have to focus on where we are this year and how we can get the kids to finish their seasons and enter into the summer, like the off season, going into next year at their best level to compete. Because we're still growing just around the area. There's still houses are getting built. When we go out to practice, you can see the woodworking for housing that they're working on. So there's still a lot of land to be developed and built on at this time. So we don't know who's coming in. We just know that we have the kids that we have, and just like anybody else, we've got to develop them first. And anybody who moves in after that or comes up as they grow up in this new community for Freeman, that's a next year kind of thing. So otherwise, I think it just becomes way too overwhelming that we're going to go from 800 kids to 3,000 plus, very quickly.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. So you're off to a pretty solid start, coach. 4-3, which is saying, I mean, that's pretty good. That's saying a lot for a program, and you're also 3-0 in district play. And correct me if I'm wrong, if there's something missing in there. Um, but overall, just your thoughts to the start of this season.
I'm pretty excited about it, and I know the kids are excited about it. We've asked them to do a lot the last year to buy in and like to keep buying in for something that was a year ahead because we only played JV last year on
Right.
a JV schedule. And so it's like, how do you teach them what's ahead and what to expect, and then just how to manage an entire team that has zero varsity experience because it's a different ball game than club. What they're used to there, or just in general if they've never played high school soccer before. Um, so I'm really proud of where they're at. It took a minute for them to kind of get going, but just kind of focus on the things that we were growing on. It's progress over perfection, and if we continue to keep working at it and playing this way, like the wins will come. You just kind of have to keep gritting it out, and sometimes it's just a process of learning that they have to go through, and really can't remove any of those obstacles for them. So once we hit district, I think that it just turned around for them and started to click a lot more. And
Mhm.
so they're kind of on a roll and looking to keep that moving forward next week and all that too. So,
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned district, right?
mm.
And it was pretty cool. A couple of weeks ago, you had your first district win in program history. So explain that. What was kind of set it up for us. What was that environment like? What was it immediately after the game? Did they even kind of realize what they had accomplished? Did you have to point that out for them? What was that like?
um, it was really kind of a surreal moment. Like it kind of one of those time things that just goes really slow in the moment, but then it goes quickly at the same time. That they absolutely realized that that was a big win for them, and that this was one of the goals that we wanted to check off right off the bat. And it's not like they got it easy. It was a battle all 80 minutes for them to get one in, and then to keep pushing to get the second one in and kind of keep them out of our own net. But just to watch them just celebrate it amongst themselves, and the support that they have as teammates, they were super excited, and just letting that moment sit in for them, like, it was just fun to watch as a coach. I know how much work they've put in, and that meant a lot to them, and it means a lot to us too.
Great. So 3-0 district, currently in district play, second place, sitting right behind Sealy. So undefeated in district play. What are you telling them? It's like, hey, whatever we're doing, just keep doing it. What's the thought process there?
I think we look at each game at what we can do better, and just kind of what's our focus for the next practice as we go in to look at the next team. Are we still making some mistakes on transition that need to be cleaned up, or how can we do create an opportunity that's a little bit better to score off of, because it's a learning process, and just trying to keep the pressure off of them. I know a lot of them haven't had to go through this yet, where everybody starts to get excited, and our goal isn't to go undefeated. It's just to compete for a district championship and get a playoff spot. And I don't want to overwhelm them, with too much excitement, but just kind of stay focused on the things that are manageable, um, that we can continue to progress with. Because if we're not getting better all season long, then we'll get into playoffs and knocked out first round, which is not ideal. We'd like
Right.
to make a deep run the first year. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rafa?
Coach, going into this season, now jumping from JV to varsity, where were the player expectations going in? What are the goals they set themselves this year?
I think they just set for themselves, most of them to make the varsity team, and then to make the environment cohesive amongst themselves. We've got a mix. I mean, we're almost half and half half juniors, half freshmen, and then we've got one sophomore on there. And just how can they work together to improve, some of the things that maybe we didn't do as well last year, to make better, and to add those pieces in and take on more ownership for themselves, instead of leaning on like the coaching staff for us to guide them in those directions. Like, hey, these are the things that you guys can do to go out and build the team up, amongst yourselves. And then they're doing a great job of that. And we've got great parent support too that's helping feed into that. So it's really nice to have. We're very fortunate.
Right. Right. So tell us about maybe the week ahead, Coach. Next two district matches you got. What's going on? How are you tackling the next week? Given just that we're definitely going to battle the elements on some level, even where you are.
Yeah. But this is kind of one of those things that, we prep for in the preseason, because that once the season hits and weather is going to be an issue, that you're always going to be looking at a week where you're probably going to play two district games back to back. That's just the way it always goes. So we're waiting to see if Monday is available for us to even get on the field to practice in some type of time frame, which probably isn't going to happen. And then we're going to have to make a game plan, to either go look at film independently or as a group online, and just kind of make a game plan for Tuesday if we're playing Tuesday. So it's kind of a waiting game, but we know that Belleville is going to be a big challenge for us on Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever day it is. And we just have to show up and keep doing what we're doing, and roll with the elements. Can't control them, but we can control how we go out there and what we choose to do. So
Absolutely. Now, is that at home or is that at Belleville?
we're at Belleville.
At Belleville. Oh, nice. Okay. So on the road.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing says, I always say, nothing says soccer season in Texas like crap weather. High school soccer season like crap weather, right? That's when you know.
Yep.
So, yeah, for sure. Rafa, you got anything else for Coach?
Coming from KDIZ, like I said, the amount of talent of soccer, from all the teams from your sister schools. How do the players feel? Kind of stack up against the other schools. Going into knowing that they got a kind of little target on the back, being or kind of live up to the expectations, being a KDIZ school, because we've always had some great teams, even the boys and the girls side. So how do they feel about that?
Yeah, I think there's definitely that expectation to be great in the background, which is nice pressure to have. And then it's also nice to have such a big district to pull from, that, like, hey, when we get to 6A, this is the level that we need to rise to, and that everybody's probably going to expect us to be at. We got to play against some of those schools. They came out to play a 7v7 league at our place all summer. So they got to look at some of the varsity, kids that are at Cinco Ranch, at Seven Lakes, at Tompkins, at Taylor, and kind of get that mix, because we only got to see their JV teams. And I felt like we got better from that. And it was a good reference point, because my kids are extremely, extremely coachable. And they're good about being realistic, like, hey, okay, we need to move on and be better at this, or grow in this area, or I need to individually work at like this skill to get better. And yeah, so I think it's weird that we are the only 4A, but we'll be 5A next year. And I'm excited. We've got a good district that is very supportive, and we want to be great for them too. So
Yeah. So when you knew you were going to take the reins here, Coach, a new program, how did you go about? Because it's different when you're stepping into a brand new program and there's nothing, right? Everything is the first, right? There's no existing template, there's no existing uniforms, there's no existing inventory. You're building it all, so it's kind of cool, but it's kind of also, hey, what do I go off of here? I was curious as you were taking the reins, as you were doing that, going back to last year. Who did you kind of lean on? Where did you start when you were kind of like, hey, where do I begin? What should I be doing in terms of a timeline? Who did you look to help you out in that process?
yeah, so I was pretty lucky, because our boys coach, Vinny Vaccaro, he opened up Pato when they went through their opening. So he had his all of his notes from that. He's the spreadsheet guru, so he had a whole budget created, and it just was a constant point of contact for me to be like, "Hey, do we need to get this first, or what should we be sharing with our budget?" And then starting up from there. So that definitely made things a lot easier to take over, because he had that experience, and he would be like, "Okay, well, this is what happened when I went through it at Pato," and I felt like that was a really stress relieving person to help out, and make it easier to do, because otherwise I think I would have been lost. Like, there was no manual for it.
Yeah,
It was just kind of a
right,
lot. Plus, you're still trying to close out at your other job and driving back and forth between one school and the other. So it definitely was made things a lot easier. So
right, right.
I appreciate
Yeah, I
that.
bet. That's kinda why I asked that because I was like, I've never been in that situation, so I could only imagine. Yeah, everything is like, where do I begin, right?
Yeah.
Even if you do have notes, right? Because you still
Yes.
kinda wanna have a vector check. It's like, "Hey, am I on target here, or is this not enough, or is this too much?" So, yeah,
Yeah.
I could hear I understand for sure. Um Now, the other thing, coach, kind of a two-parter here for you. You're a year, I guess you could say a year and a half in, right, into this new program, second season. What has been, you look back on it up to this point, what has been from when you were stepping into this role going back to last year to now? What has been maybe the one thing that has turned out to be far easier than you expected? And what has been maybe on the contrary, what has been the one thing that has been far more difficult than you expected?
Oh. Um, I think far more difficult would just be underestimating. you know, I came from school where, and I've worked in most of my schools that I've been at have had upperclassmen, a good chunk of upperclassmen. So I didn't anticipate, kind of really taking it down a step to when you have that many underclassmen, reaching out to them, meeting them where they are, because you don't anticipate how much they lean on some of those upperclassmen to kind of guide them through. So I felt like that was probably the biggest challenge. Um,
Point,
that
such a
was
great
far
point.
more difficult for some reason, but at the same time, it was a lot easier uh, to just go down and like not have some of those added expectations that we were able to build, exactly how we wanted it to go from the ground up, and get them to buy in because they didn't have much of a reference to go off of, or they weren't exposed to other programs and things like that. So I think that actually went a lot smoother than I anticipated, because it's tough when you go in and take over a program and there's a long history or traditions that are already set. So it's definitely easier to go in when they were not already there, and build them and have the right kids to help you do that with.
Yeah, that's such a great point in terms of the built-in work that your upperclassmen do with the underclassmen. Yes, I hadn't really thought about it that way, but yeah, great point. Rafa, you got anything else for Coach? One last
Uh,
question.
Coach, your coaching style. Who's your biggest influence when it comes to your coaching style?
I would say lately it's got to be Emma Hayes. Like, I just love watching other people interview her, and just the clips they have of how she interacts with her players. Like, and then she's gone through struggles too of, not being at her best, and I just find her to be just a good resource of, hey, like, this is really what we need at all levels. As coaches to adults, whether or coaches to children, that's she's the ideal person to coach that I think everybody should have. So yeah, I have a lot of respect for her and
Yeah.
really enjoy seeing her stuff.
Yeah, big fan of hers as well. It's
Yeah.
funny you mentioned her because I saw a clip this morning on Twitter about her kind of letting a little oopsie out, accidentally letting them know that they're going to schedule Japan, right, for the She Believes Cup. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
There's a press conference, and I was like, "Yeah, we're actually announce." She let it out, and then it was like, "Yeah, we're actually going to announce that tomorrow." And she's like, "Oh, oops." Pretty
Yeah.
good clip, pretty funny. It's like a 30-second clip, but pretty good. Um, so we are talking with Coach Aaron Pointer, the head women's soccer coach of the Katie Freeman Golden Eagles, as well as Coach. We're going to transition here. We're going to talk about your other role. Back in November, I got to meet you in your new role as you're the second assistant for Region Three Tasco Regional Director, Region Three, second assistant. That's a mouthful.
Yes.
Tell us, how is that going?
It's very interesting to be on the opposite side, uh, getting to know how that part works, and then kind of being on the inside of all the things that Tasco does, and really how much legwork they do behind the scenes to make things happen. It's an organization that's been around since I was in high school, so I just feel really honored to be a part of it, and nominated to the board, uh, to serve high school coaches, because I know it does a lot for our athletes. And yeah, it's been interesting. It's different. Yeah,
Mhm.
not really what I expected, but then more than I expected at the same time. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I bet you got to put up with people like me. So I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. Um,
good.
but But I do like how you kind of try to make yourself. I mean, you were just in high school, like what, probably 3, 4 years ago. You make yourself sound like you're old. Like you're not old like Rafa and I, by any means. But yeah, Tasco, great organization. They're doing tremendous things. Great coaches, great people, more than anything that are very passionate about the game. So yeah, again, we were talking with Coach Aaron Pointer, the head women's soccer coach of the Katie Freeman Golden Eagles, as they are off to their first full-fledged varsity season in their program's history, and just recently, as we mentioned not too long ago, captured their first district win in program history. So Coach, want to give you a shout out there again. And Coach, this is that time where we kind of want to give you the floor for any shout outs, thank yous, anything that's on your mind as it relates to the game. It could be Tasco, it could be your girls, it could be your program, it could be your school. The floor is yours.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll take a second to say thank you to our administration, our principal, Gina Cobb, and our director on campus, our head football coach, Eric Robinson, and our assistant athletic coordinator, Jill Voss, for the opportunity to be at Freeman, because I wouldn't be there without their approval. And then our parents who have done an amazing job, like really buying in and helping us build this program. And of course, to my girls, for always being on point and doing everything we ask. And this has been such a great season. It's been so much fun, and I'm just so excited to finish it out with them and see where it goes. That's it.
All right, great stuff. Again, that is Coach Aaron Pointer, the head women's soccer coach of the Katie Freeman. Sorry, got a little tangled up here with the head women's soccer coach of the Katie Freeman Golden Eagles. Coach, really appreciate your accessibility. Thank you for joining us in what is, I don't know, Isageddon, I guess what they're calling this one. I know this one has a name, apparently, this storm, but I keep forgetting what it is. But either way, while the power is on, we're going to be here bringing you live coverage of Inside Texas High School Soccer. But Coach, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time, and also look forward to working with you on the Tasco board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Have a great
this.
one.
That's good luck,
Bye
coach.
bye.
Bye.
Good deal. Good deal. All right, that was Coach Aaron Pointer of the Katie Freeman Golden Eagles women's soccer program. Thoughts on what she had to share?
It's just a great insight, for the program, and I'm sure it's real tough starting a brand new program from
Oh yeah.
scratch. There's really not I guess you can say like a blueprint, and for a situation like that. But like I said, she's got great players of kind of believe in the system, and they're working hard. And then, like I said, the payoff, like I said, they got that first district win, and I'm sure we're gonna see a lot more great things from them. And I'm sure we'll probably see them on bracketology too. See how deep they can go in Region 3. So I think they're a team that probably can keep really to kind of keep an eye on. And I think in Region 3 for 4A.
No doubt, no doubt. What anything in particular that kind of stood out to you in terms of what she mentioned, what she shared about that, what you were just talking about as far as standing up a new program?
You know the. I think when I guess it's having young players, like you said, when you have a group of freshmen and sophomores that don't really have varsity experience, it's a tough task, kind of showing them the ropes. And I know that great for it was great for them to play like a JV schedule, and they actually played some very tough JV teams from their own district. She mentioned about
Okay.
Tompkins and Seven Lakes, and that's going to help off as far as kind of the game speed a bit, as far as also playing the talent level. And then now they're here in the varsity play here with their, say here in their district. It's starting to help them off, and also they also played some really tough opponents, with non-district. I'm sure that's helped them out. So like I said, just that guidance is really kind of helping them, make strides with this first year varsity play.
Yeah. Yeah, and we do apologize if there are some. It looks like there's a little bit of a lag here in terms of the video on here versus the audio, how it's matching up. That is definitely not us. I think that could very well be just a system thing. So not a technical difficulty issue on our end. So if that is coming across on the video to audio portion. So, but yeah. So big shout out as well. We had. Big Coach Harry, or not Coach, but Big Harry Austin joining us on here earlier. Shout out to him, Harry. Really appreciate you, buddy. And also a couple of people on here. I know we had Yellow City Soccer joining us on here. Thank you. And our good friend out in St. Louis, Mo, out of Mo Football. Mo, stay warm. I know I know you're gonna have it far worse than what we're gonna have it here. So stay warm, be safe for sure. Um, yeah, I thought, I thought Coach Pointer, she hit on a couple of little things that
Mhm,
they kind of seem like no brainers, but at the same time, when you're operating a program year in and year out, an established program, there are things that I guess it's not that you don't think about, but you just kind of take them for granted, right? You
mhm,
just
mhm,
don't have to think about them, right? So, but when you're standing up a new program, everything is new. Every little stone has to go unturned, yeah, or no stone unturned, I should say, because if not, something can easily slip through the cracks. So yeah, I thought great info and congratulations to them. Wishing them the best of luck as they continue to go in. What is it, 20? I think it's 24, if I'm not mistaken, out of Region 3. But good to have her join us. Really appreciate her time as we look forward to see what Katie Freeman, the Golden Eagles, Lady Golden Eagles, do in their season up ahead, their first varsity season.
mhm.
All right, we're going to transition here, Coach. We're going to look at RPI Edition 2. Thoughts on this while I bring this up? Anything you want to tell us, just as far as the dates when records were last in effect, when you last looked at them?
So I did have something or kind of set for I guess for the 19th, but then weather and some
Right, right.
delays.
A few
Uh,
false starts.
kind of what happened with me with the roundtable was because we introduced our preseason ones, and I don't know if the season already started, but I'll be updating those soon. But same thing with this. Um, there were some big changes, especially on the boys' side. Well, actually both sides, but I know when I get to the boys' side, I'll talk about that because there's one team that kind of totally
Yeah.
fell off the whole thing, and what I'll get into that. But
Right, right,
the
right.
girls' side,
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, so we
it's
got the girl side up here. Sorry, coach. We got the girl side up here first. I want to kind of give you the intro so you can dive into it. But we're going to start with the girls here. So these are the Rafa Power Index as of today's date, going with some of the information that he had last updated. Uh, so could there be a record or two that's off in terms of a win or a loss potentially here? But like you said, it's getting your hands around all of these and making sure that we have the most up to date records sometimes can be a little tricky, right? Because it's only as good as when stats and records are updated. So, all right, Rafa, we're gonna dive in. We're gonna start with the girls here. So tell us, let's take it away. Tell us about our first five here.
well, you have the usual suspect here with Frisco Wakeland back now at the top of the rankings now. Great start for them. I'm sure. Like I said, after from last year, they're on a mission. So I think any team in, in their path, you probably don't want to face them. South Lake Carroll, just doing what South Lake Carroll always does year in year out. Another great
Right.
season, and then number three, the team that you're very high on, and I think they're
Very
starting to
much
put
so.
people on notice too. And I think it could be a great year for Coach Higgins there at Smithson Valley, and uh, really keep an eye on them. I know that, like I said, they had a great year last year. Could this be the year, they go get to Birkenbach and lift that trophy kind of like what the boys football team did. So really, like I said, I think they're off to another great start. And then Lucas Lovejoy, another, I guess, a great year for them. I think that's a team to keep an eye on, especially there in that Dallas area. And then another team it's kind of been on the radar that's starting to kind of make some noises that Prosper One on Grove. I know the boys get a lot of kind of the accolades and all that, but the girls are making a statement this year.
Yeah, yeah. So I got to see. Excuse me. So I got to see. I mean, this is a very, very just talented, power-driven top five, and naturally so. But it might be one of the strongest five I think I've ever seen in your RPI, particularly because I can, I can very much vouch for four of these, and I'm very big on number three in Smithson Valley already, just because I've seen them separately two different times. But I mean, Frisco, Wakeland, Carroll, Lucas Lovejoy, and Walnut Grove, I got to see all in person last weekend at the Governor's Cup. And I can tell you, it's just Wakeland, it's their El Cucuy, as we all know, but this is a very different, as I said before, this is a kind of a ticked off Wakeland after last year that's got a lot to prove, right, to nobody more than themselves. And as uh, as their coach had mentioned when he was on here, right, and Jimmy Langford. Carroll's, we talk about Carroll and Walnut Grove. Walnut Grove, as I told you, is very much the real deal. They are. And ironically, they're only both Carroll's and Walnut Grove's only blemish, their draw, if you will, if we want to call that a blemish, it's versus each other, right?
Mhm.
They're at the Governor's Cup. So that was a great match to watch. I didn't get to see all of it, but I saw a decent amount of it and then also a lot of clips from it as well. Lucas Lovejoy got to see in person, up close and personal as well, as they were on the field in our match right before us. So they are very, very talented, play very well, very composed. I saw them playing against a Keller Timber Creek squad in some tough, very tough elements, tough conditions, in a very, very strong wind gusts, and they just very much look composed. They're the real deal. And then Smithson Valley, right at number three. Jason Atkins might have, as I told you guys, I think might very well have his best squad he's ever had it in his 20 plus years at Smithson Valley. So look out for them. They got a big match on Tuesday, coming up on Tuesday versus Piper, which could very well determine who's going to win that district title. It's their first time meeting, obviously, but an undefeated Smithson Valley against a battle tested Piper should go far in determining who's going to win that district this year. So, all right, Coach, 6 through 10, take it away.
So 6 to 10, like I said, combining this list, I can tell you this. I had to kind of go kind of. I'm gonna be honest. It's like 35 deep of teams that
Mhm.
that I can put probably
Right,
in this list,
right.
and but Colleyville Heritage off to another great start. Like I said, they're one of those perennial pals you always see. Capel, I know they had a little setback, but like I said, still a very dangerous team. And then Salina, yeah, don't let that one loss fool you. I think they're still my favorite to get that ring for the thumb for their last year foray.
Mhm.
And then Forney, like I said, last year they had a great season. They're doing it again here. They're like I said, they've really established a great program there. So kudos to them. I think that they're up for some great things this year. And then number 10, I have a Davenport. I think they're about to start district play. Uh, like I said, like I said, I think there could be another favorite there for Division 1 for 4A as well. Could be get a rematch against with Salina again.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I would say so. We look at these, it's very much usual suspects, with the exception of, and it's not intended as a shot to them because they're taking that next big step is in Forney. And I can tell you, Forney's another team. They're very fun to watch play. They're very fun to watch. And they look like they are at a different level than most teams right now. So that is a team that I see probably very much staying in the top 10, probably breaking through into the top five before it's all said and done in this RPI list. Capel, excuse me, Capel just had their first loss of the season against, I believe it was Denton Geyer, if I'm not
Mm.
mistaken. And that is probably another team, another program that could have an argument for being in this, if not this top 15, definitely in your next five in. So keep an eye on that Geyer squad. Colleyville Heritage, it's them, Wakeland, Salina, right? Death and Taxes, and then Colleyville Heritage in the RPI. So, and then Davenport, right? Davenport, who's no stranger to the RPI. Some people were kind of wondering after everything they've graduated as to how good would they be this year, and they haven't missed a beat so far. So there they are at 10, and we move on to your next 15, Coach, or your next five, I should say, 11 through 15. Take it away.
So number 11, I have Salado. They've been on a roll. They've been just a scoring machine. Like I said, I saw them last year. They can put up goals in bunches, like in minutes. Another team to kind of keep an eye out in Region 4 for 6A is Round Rock. Uh, I think they're going to be like I said, always a tough squad. They always make deep runs. I think this year they got something cooking here. 13 is a little surprise here. Kingwood, they might be the surprise out of Region 3. Really, like I said, really
Yeah,
keep off
interesting.
their
Interesting. I saw that. Yeah.
yeah, they've had some quality wins, and I know they got a tough matchup coming up with another district I will have in my next five, and we'll see how that goes. And then Life Waxahachie, like I said, built a really great program there the last few years. And I know last year they fell short losing to Salina, but they're out, like I said, off to another great start. And then one of your state champions here is Cedar Park. I don't know, don't let that record fool you. I think they're still a dangerous team. I think they said they're still going to be in the
Oh yeah,
mix for Region 4 for 5A.
yeah, very much so. And that Cedar Park, we talked about that Cedar Park. That lone blemish to Cedar Park. It was again. Well, no, it was. I should say one of the draws. I should say was against Georgetown the day
Mhm.
before. My squad had a chance to play Georgetown, so very good. Yeah, and Coach Poole, Coach Poole's going to have them ready to go. Yeah, I saw Kingwood was an interesting one. When I saw this in here, I was like, okay, Round Rock is just they've been around and they're solid, very good, very everything I've seen them. They've been it's not just that they're undefeated, but it's how they've been winning, right? Just very dominant in their wins, regardless of score. And then, of course, you have Salado there. It's the Blitzkrieg, right? Is it Salado? Is Salado the Blitzkrieg?
Yep, the Blitzkrieg.
Sometimes I
Yep.
forget. Yeah. So, not shocked there one bit in any of those five. They're great picks, I think. Harry's back in here as usual. Harry doing what he does best, instigating, right? So, who is better, Smith and Valley or Piper? Well, first of all, I don't think anybody cares what I think in terms of these two, but I think the body of work up to now would maybe suggest Smith and Valley, but this is why you play the game, right? It's not about what it is on paper. And yeah, no, we did not play Piper last night. Uh, but um, but yeah, I think going to be must watch if you can make it out there. I can't remember if that's at Ranger Stadium or if that's in the Coliseum. If somebody can check on that for us. But that's going to be if you are in the San Antonio area, Greater San Antonio area. That is probably going to be the must watch match on the girls' side of the night on Tuesday.
Just
So,
make sure to
all
take
right,
your
Coach.
blanket.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Just do some burpees. All
Yeah.
right. All right, and then our next five in. So that takes us through our top 15, coach, and then our next five in who are knocking on the door. Take it away.
So next five, I have Atascocita at 8-0. Great start for them as well. They're on the collision course with Kingwood. They're going to play. I think in the next coming weeks. So that's going to be a very interesting game. Could change who's in. Could they get into the top 15 or so and go up even more? Rockwall Heath, another Dallas area team that's, like I said, makes some noise. Very going to be very tough to beat, especially in the playoffs. A little surprise here. A lot of people weren't had it on the radar. So Harlingen, and Harlingen
Right,
ten
right,
and
right.
0. They had a great win versus a Lake Travis team, and I'm sure that's a great confidence booster for the ladies down there in the valley. And like I said, I think this year they could maybe be able to surprise some teams, and maybe could be one of the first ones in the wild that come from the valley represent Region 4 for 6A. And then you have Caden Seven Lakes. You can say two early losses, but against quality teams. Like I said, don't count them out. Not, like I said, they're still one of the favorites there for Region 3. And then you have Louisville Marcus. Like I said, they don't shy away who they play against. And like I said, I know they're 7-2-2, but they're still, I think, the favorite for their district. And like I said, they're always in the mix when it comes to the regional semifinals, finals, and even going into the state Final Four.
Right, right. Yeah, great group here. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, right? Kingwood and Atascocita in what is that? I think in like 2 weeks. Is that what it
Mm-hmm.
is? I think. Um, Heath knocking on the door, and Harlingen got some eye-opening results on their schedule already, right? So it's coming in at 10-0, and Katie Seven Lakes always in the mix, and of course Marcus. It does look a little odd seeing Marcus in our next five in versus in our top 15, but yeah, they'll right the ship. They'll get things figured out. Definitely not worried about that. So, all right, that does it for the girls, and we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna move on, unveil the boys RPI here, Coach. Go ahead, take it away. Our first five, 1 through 5.
Well, remaining at number one is Prosper Walnut Grove. Off to a fabulous start for them, 13-0, and like I said, they're just trucking along and they're just taking care of business. And like I said, I expect them to see them in Georgetown again this year. Number two, I have Katie Seven Lakes. Uh, Great for start for them as well. I know last year was a little disappointing, but like I said, I think they're getting things together, and I think they're gonna make another deep run. Another team keeping on really on the radar now is Klein Oak. I know Klein Kane was the defending state champ, but Klein Oak got a win over them, and now they've taken control of the district, and now it seems like they may be the team to beat for that region for District 15.
Right, right.
Another team that you've kind of been high on is Bridgeland, and
Yeah.
Bridgeland boys, like I said, great start for them. And then number 5, defending state champion. I think Celero's got, I think, something to prove. They said that last year was no fluke, and yep, they're at 10-0-1. And like I said, I think they'll all make another deep run again for their region.
Yeah, yeah. Walnut Grove, obviously the real deal, defending state champion. There's two. What am I looking at? Yeah, two
The two.
two reigning state champions in your top five here. Salado still very much coming. Last year, you could maybe make the argument that they were a year ahead of schedule, possibly, and now here they are. They're coming into full form here at 10-0-1 at number 5. Bridgeland, I've been talking up quite a bit for a couple of weeks now. Yeah, Klein Oak, you mentioned them kind of taking, what will that be like when they play Kane the next time? And, Jimmy Kruger led Katie Seven Lakes, just, very much going to always have my money on them. Just like I talk about just a handful of coaches in terms of what they do, what they've established in terms of their culture, their program, the talent, the pedigree that they have. Well-led coached programs, they tend to always find a way. So no, not shocked one bit to see Seven Lakes there at number 2. And again, Salado being our only 4A that comes in, our only 4A in the top 5. So, all right, 6 through 10, Coach, go ahead.
So another 4A that kind of keep an eye on is Kilgore. Like I said, out in East Texas. Like I said, I think they're up to, I guess, another great start. I think they'll make. I know Palestine kind of gets the kind of the buzz all the time. Kilgore's really have established themselves pretty, there, and I think they could be. Could this be the year they finally get to Georgetown? Dallas Jesuit, another talented team. Like I said, they had a great run last year. I think this year they're off, like I said, doing some great things. Like I said, they're about to start district play. El Paso Bel Air, after the coaching changes and all the little chaos there, they've kind of shrugged that, and they're off to, like I said, undefeated start. I'm sure they're going to go make some noise out in Region 1. Number 9 here, I have San Antonio Southwest. Like I said, only one loss, but hey, they're first place. They're winning games there in district. They already started district play. They're still the favorite in district, and the they're wanting to make that another run again. Like I said, I think they have unfinished business. I think especially with the Walnut Grove, and I think they got something to prove, and they want to get back to that final. And number 10, you have El Tucuy, Wakeland, 1-1, starting to creep back into the top 10.
Yeah, back where they belong in the top 10, right? Yeah, I think solid group here. You talk about Kilgore, 4A, very, very much establishing themselves 10-0-1, not shocked one bit. Jesuit, very consistent, been a staple for many, many years. I think this is probably the highest you've had them rated since we introduced the RPI, though, right? Probably
Mm-hmm.
7. I don't think we've ever had them this high since introducing the RPI. Now, okay, just to prove that I'm not biased here, right? So Bel Air being my alma mater here, but I do, me personally, I still got a lot of questions given that they had to replace a new coach. They have a new coach. They had to replace their longtime standing coach very late. And yes, they have talent, but do I question the rating here of them at number 8 in the RPI? I do, because I still have a lot of questions on them. Yes, they are 10-0-2 up to this point, but still have a lot of questions. So I don't know. For me, they're a little high, but I am happy to see them having some success post Coach Delgado. And then Southwest, they're very much a staple here in the greater San Antonio area. So I'm not shocked to see them in at number 9. And that takes us through our top 10. Let's, Coach, we got 11, our last 5, 11 through 15. Go ahead.
So another surprise team. It's been the Katie Taylor. I know, like I said, with Seven Lakes, kind of gets, it's been kind of been Seven Lakes and Tompkins and maybe even Katie Jordan, but Taylor off to a great start. I know they're gonna have that showdown with Seven Lakes pretty soon here in district play. And then number 12, you have South Lake Curl. Another one of the staples from the Dallas area. Like I said, still they're in a tough district. I know that they have some teams like Byron Nelson, some of the rival teams that, like I said, they're going to be one team to kind of keep an eye on over there. The one of the surprise teams here out of Region 4 that's I think they're you cannot take really lightly is that Round Westwood team. They've got some quality wins, and this is
Mhm.
a team that really, I think they could really do some damage. I know they've made the playoffs the last few years, and they have a couple, gone 2, 3 deep. But I think this year, this could be something a little special for them, kind of like what Vandergrift did in the last couple of years. I think this
Yeah.
could be kind of the same thing with them. Another surprise, another team from the Houston area, surprising is Houston Memorial. They're off to an undefeated start. And then at 15, Enterbury Economides at 13-1. Like I said, a couple
Mhm.
years ago, they made a great run. Like I said, they fell to Vandergrift. This year, I think they could be like I said, the top 6A team in the valley. I'm sure Los Fresnos may have a thing to say about that, but so far, Economides, like I said, great start for them, and I think expecting great things for them going into the year.
Yeah, a great final five here in your top 15. Yeah, Taylor goes without saying. Carroll, solid. I had to double check that and look that up. I didn't realize Carroll had three draws. Right with you with Westwood. I think this might be the best squad that they've had since what was it, 20, might be 20, what, 2021, I think, 2020, 2021, somewhere in there,
Mhm.
where they had, I still share it usually about gold ball chasing season, right, with district titles. They still have probably the best, if you remember, Rafa, the best hoisting a trophy of a district championship probably I've ever seen. And I say that a little tongue in cheek because it was kind of, it's a funny video, but I was happy for them nonetheless to win a district title. But yeah, I think this might be the best squad coming in at 9-1 right now that they've had since then. Houston Memorial, a little bit more of a mystery, right? Just don't seem like it's been a little harder to get more info on them. But yeah, so in here at 9-2, another 6A, and then Edinburgh Economides, as you mentioned, they've kind of been they've broken through into your next five in, a couple of times. But yeah, I mean, now here they are in the top 15 in the RPI. What they're coming in at 13-0-1. They're, all kind of paths lead to Los Fresnos. What are your thoughts on that one coming up between them and Los Fresnos?
Well, since like I said, they're in opposite districts, but I'm sure, like I said, I think they could meet up in that first round of the playoffs.
I think correct, correct.
Depending on the seeding. So, but if like I said, if they end up with district champs, they probably won't see each other in that by district round. But
Mhm.
those are the two teams that kind of keep an eye on, and especially once they get to the third round, they could cause some issues with some teams, especially here for the San
Mhm.
Antonio area and also the Austin area. So they, like I said, you can't take them lightly, and especially the run they made 2 years ago. They knocked off San Antonio Johnson in that regional semifinal that we were there, and
Right,
like
right.
I said, they just kind of fell short against a very talented Vandergrift team. So I think uh, you know I know they had a little setback last year, but I think this year they kind of got the tools now. So that's one team that we could see from the Valley that could, also win
Mhm.
Region 4.
Right. Yeah. Well said. And that does it for our top 15. And then now we're going to look at our last five, which is our next five in. Rafa, take it away.
So next five in, I have Waco La Vega. Uh, like I said, this is a team I think you should really kind of keep an eye on. They're off to, like I said, they're off to a good start. I think should be favored to win their district title. I know they had some challenge. Like I said, I know Salato's in the region. Could they be on a collision course with them in the playoffs? But I think, like I said, they had some very talented players there. Number two, I have Austin Bowie. They just recently had a big win in district to start district play. And remember, the last few years they've had some really kind of high achieving, overachieving teams that just kind of
Right.
fell short. Because this be the year that they finally kind of get it together, make and
Now, was it
go through.
overachieving? We're talking about Bowie, correct?
Yeah,
I
because
don't, was
remember
it
that
overachieving or was it highly talented teams that maybe didn't kind of
live
reach
up
the
to
potential?
expectations.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. The
because
expectations. There you go.
remember I had them a couple years ago in the top 5, and they
Correct.
were you know winning quality games, and then they got to the playoffs and they kind of fell short, and we all thought they were going to probably represent the region. I think this year this could be they've been under the radar, which might be a good thing for them because that way the
Correct.
pressure's not on them. And like I said, you can't take them lightly. There's talented players there, but I think this is the year for them to maybe finally kind of gets all the pieces get together and they make that run. Number three, Navasota. Like I said, remember they had a great run a couple years ago.
Hmm.
They're off
Yeah.
to another great start this year. like I said, they had a quality win against that Brookshire Royal team. Who was actually I almost had them on there too, but because of that loss, I said I had to say that was sort of kind of took that spot. And then Allen, I know they had a little setback here, but don't count them out. They're always, like I said, I know they have a tough. They're in that tough district with the bikini
Right.
schools, but like I said, I think they'll bounce back from that. And then another team there from the kind of the Wichita Falls area, keep an eye on Gainesville. Like I said, I think they could be one of those teams that could end up, you know, representing their region and get to Georgetown.
Yeah. Yeah, a great 5 here. Nothing different, nothing additional really to add in these 5 here. It'll be interesting to see which of these 5 can stick around for the long haul and break through and move their way up the RPI. So, well done. Well done by Rafa. That's going to do it here for our initial, or not our initial, our second edition, I should say, of the RPI. Before I forget, our listeners everywhere, if you're not subscribed, go on there, go to our YouTube channel, which is the 50_50 podcast. Go on there, subscribe right now. Takes you all of 2 seconds. All right, you hit that bell, you sign up for the live notifications. You won't miss a thing that we do, since 99.9% of everything we do is live. So hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. We don't charge anything, but that's our YouTube channel in particular is the one that we're trying to grow right now. But you can also find us on your preferred podcast platform of choice, whatever that may be. Go on there, find us, look us up, the 50_50 podcast. Give us a rating. Go on there, subscribe, follow us, give us a rating, give us a 5-star, 5 stars preferably, right? Anything. You got anything bad to say, send those comments to Rafa, not to me, okay? As I always say, right? But just kidding. But that is going to do it for, again, our second edition of the RPI. We're going to come back with the unveiling of something new that we have to share here in our Yeah But list. I'm going to let Rafa tell you more about that. Excited to talk about that one, as we're going to highlight 5 teams on the boys' side, 5 teams on the girls' side across the state of Texas. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a quick word from our partners. In the market for a new home, or maybe you'd just like to get more information? Then let us tell you about our new proud partner and title sponsor, Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, your go-to realtor for military and veteran families in Central Texas. With her cover and move I've got your 6 approach, you focus in the market for a new home, or maybe you'd just like to get more information? Then let us tell you about our new proud partner and title sponsor, Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, your go-to realtor for military and veteran families in Central Texas. With her cover and move I've got your 6 approach. All right. Apparently, we are having some difficulties there with our proud partners. I don't know if you can hear us. Rafa, can you hear me there?
Yes, sir. Sorry about that. A little message here, a little call real quick.
Yeah, no, all good, all good. No, I didn't know. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties there with our proud partners, our sponsorship package. There, we're going to try it one more time, and then if not, we'll be right back. Apologies. In the market for a new home, or maybe you'd just like to get more information? Then let us tell you about our new proud partner and title sponsor, Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com. In the market for a new home, or maybe you'd just like to get more information? Then let us tell you about our new proud partner and title sponsor, Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, your go-to realtor for military and veteran families in Central Texas. With her cover and move I've got your 6 approach, you focus on the move while she handles the contracts, the deadlines, and even the details. Want a realtor who works like... All right. Apparently we can't get that one off the ground today. Rafa, you got me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So apologies there. So our proud partners in TexasVeteranRealtor.com, as well as one of our big partners in Gipper as well. So we'll make sure we plug that in. But we're going to move on to our one last piece, the Yeah But list. Rafa, as I bring this up, go ahead, tell our listeners what the genesis of our Yeah But list. What is that about?
Yeah, this is a list of teams that maybe haven't had the best of starts, but we had high expectations. But I wouldn't count them out yet, because don't let the records fool you. Because I expect them at the end of district play, they're going to be in play and could be some favorites. I know one team we did last year in bracketology that it kind of influenced on that, and which we'll talk about in a bit. But here at the girls' side, like I said, these are the 5 teams that the Yeah But. We'll
Yeah,
take a look at A&M Consolidated, your
yeah,
defending state champs. Don't I wouldn't let that record fool you because they've played some really quality opponents, and I think they're about to start district play. I think they'll bounce back from that, and I still think they're going to be a contender for the region. The team that really kind of influences is the Grapevine Lady Mustangs because last year didn't have the best of records and stuff, and but I still thought, hey, I think they're gonna make another deep run, and like I said, yeah, the 6-4-2, still winning record, but like I said, they've got like I said, they play some quality opponents. I think recently they just got a tie with actually Colleyville Heritage, so they can tell you that tells you right there they're not a slouch, so they're going to be a player.
yeah.
Same thing with
Always
Houston.
the Grapevine, always having
Mhm.
great battles with Colleyville Heritage.
Same thing with Houston Stratford. I think they've had one of the toughest non-district schedules, and I think they're going to be. I think they realize they have to play some of these teams, especially when they want to get back to Georgetown. They know what the type of Cal players they're going to see in the regional finals, state semifinals, and even the finals. So, kudos to them. And then for Ben Richpoint, we always see them. We've seen them in the RPIs of the last few years. They share the kind of, you know, like I said, some early struggles, but hey, they're like I said, they're just playing quality opponents. They just want to get ready for district play, and I see them in the playoffs this year. And same thing with the Allen Lady Eagles. Like I said, I don't know. Like I said, 3 losses already, but against 3 quality teams. But like I said, they already kind of started the district play as well. But like I said, I expect them to be in the mix as well.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something that comes to mind here. We talk about how, hey, some people want to talk about their record, but then in kind of conversations, smaller conversations that we're having with different people, it's kind of like, yeah, but they'll be just fine. Uh, they've played incredibly tough schedules. They've overcome different things, what have you. And on here, in your five here for the girls, coach, you have a defending state champion, a reigning state champion, I should say, and a finalist, right? A state
Mhm.
finalist last year. So that's kind of saying something. Grapevine going on a deep run to the regional final last year, in spite of having a not very good record as they were entering the playoffs. And yeah, Rich Point, I think Rich Point will right the ship. Allen is Allen. I think we'll be fine there. So nothing too, I guess, groundbreaking when you talk about these five who have great pedigrees when it comes to Texas high school soccer. But when we talk about this yeah but list, right? One of the things, there's a great, our good friends at Lethal had a comment on this. I think yesterday. I don't know if it was yesterday or today. Thought it was yesterday. But basically talking about how there are some really good teams in the state of Texas that have only won a couple of games, a handful of games, and then there are some suspect teams who have very few losses, right? So make of that what you will, but I think that's kind of the genesis of what we're looking at here, what we're talking about with this yeah but list, because this will be something that we continue to kind of watch. We might tweak this. This could be, hey, maybe the five hottest teams in the state of Texas going forward as we progress with district play, but there'll be more to come on this as well. So that does it for the girls. We move over to the men's side. Women's side is done. We move over to the men's side here. Our five here. Rafa, tell us about our five.
Same thing, like I said, here on the boys' side, we have Ali Elsick. Like I said, I know 73. Some teams will probably be happy with having a 73 record, but when you're Ali Elsick, your expectations should be a lot higher. So, I know those 3 losses, like I said, one of the things here, you're playing quality opponents. I think what you learn from the year before, you schedule teams that we want to keep you at that level to see if you can maintain that level of play, and you're not, like I said, when you don't want to regress. That's the thing. Even though if you lose some games, if you lose a close ones like a 1-0, 2-1 against a quality, teams that made deep runs, hey, that's the goal. That's as long as it can keep up and not, that's all that matters. But like I said, I know 7-3. Some people are out there, well, what the heck you're thinking about? But for an Elsick, like I said, people expect a lot more, but I think they'll bounce back. We have reigning state champs Klein Kane at 5-1-3. I know they had a loss with Klein Oak, but like I said, we'll see what happens. If they can turn things around, especially if the second time they face each other. Who knows? That could be a different result. If they can start getting hot, and by the time they face each other, like I said, things can change. Same thing with Angleton. Like I said, a state semifinals last year. A little rough start, but hey, I think they'll still be, like I said, I think they'll still be in the mix as far as when we start talking bracketology for Region 3. Same thing with Highland Park. Not the most ideal, and I know it's a winning record, not most ideal, for them. Expectations are always high at Highland Park, especially last year's disappointment that I know they had to forfeit, the state title, but I still think they'll be when it's all said and done. When they're done with district play, they're going to be one of the teams to keep an eye on. And then Castleberry, they had a great run last year. I think what they decided to do is kind of stack their schedule this year, play more quality opponents, and like I said, I know they have 7 losses, but I think they'll be probably one of the they're probably one of the best 7 loss teams in 4A right now. So we'll see how they do. I guess going into the district play, and then how I guess going into.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, here, same thing. These are all 5 programs that are very, very synonymous with deep runs in the Texas High School State playoffs last year, including a reigning state champion in Klein Kane, which we talked about earlier. And I think it's kind of one of those things with, someone like a Kane, for example, to look at them with only 1 loss, uh, 1 blemish, really 3 draws. Kind of you could make the argument that probably maybe they shouldn't be on this list, and then you can also make the argument for maybe even Castleberry, right, or for our lone 4A here at number 5 with 7 losses and 2 draws. You know, could there be somebody else that could maybe make this list in at number 5? Possibly, but overall, don't have any issues here. These, again, all teams that were, Highland Park playing in a final last year, Angleton in a state semifinal as well, Ailey Felsick playing in a final, state finalist last year as well. So all great programs that I think will definitely right the ship. So you've got to look beyond just the records with a lot of these and this is just a small data point of what's a representative of many more programs that are kind of, you could argue, could be on this list across the state of Texas. So, Rafa, anything else to add?
No, like I said, I know there when I compiled the list, I know there was others that were kind of close to making it. I know one team, I guess that you're familiar with, kind of like an honorable mention, I guess you can say, is like San Eli. San Eli's up to, I think they're like a 5-3 start,
Hmm.
not where you normally expect them to be at. You're already kind of to
Right.
be at like in double digit wins, but that's a team you really can't sleep on, and there's other ones too. So it's like I said, it's not how you start; it's how you finish. And like I said, and I'm sure a lot of these teams are going to turn things around once they get to the end of district play.
Yeah. Yeah. Great deal, man. Good deal. I think this might be our most efficient show that we've had in a while. We're nowhere near close to Joe Rogan status, so we start to wrap up here. Really appreciate your time, buddy. Thank you. Great work on the RPI. You can always make the argument. I mean, that's the whole point of power ratings, power rankings, right? There are always biases. There's always something. What is the criteria that is used for them? But somebody's going to always have an opinion. So it's a prove us right or prove us wrong model. What I love most about our RPI is that it is a pound for pound listing, regardless of classification. So, which you normally don't see in rankings, in ratings. Typically, they're by classification only. But I think, you're. I think you can very much so say your top 5 on both sides might be some of the strongest RPIs I've seen you put out since we started this. So kudos to you, big kudos to you. But that is going to do it as we start to wrap up here. Episode 5 of Inside Texas High School Soccer. Rafa, tell us, first of all, before we dive into final thoughts, where will you be over the next week? Games you might be covering? Anything you can share with us on where you might be this coming week?
Well, this week I'll be in the Austin area, so hopefully I'll be able to get to catch a couple games. Hopefully Tuesday night if the weather's holding up. So, like I said, I think I should be in the Round Rock area. So hopefully Round Rock's playing. So maybe we can go check them out. Maybe the
Mhm.
boys or the girls. Um, also, like I said, I know tonight, if you're into USL Championship Soccer, as San Antonio FC fans, we're having a episode tonight at 7:45, 8ish. I'll talk about preseason game against the Broccoli FC. Sorry, Austin, but uh, talk about the couple new signings they had,
The
and
Fancast? You
also
gonna have the Fancast show?
Fancast. Yeah, we're having
Okay,
Fancast show
okay.
tonight. If power holds up,
What
I
time?
know
Say
Royce
that
is
again.
kind of
What time?
worried about
What time?
7:45, 8 o'clock
7:45.
around there.
And where can they find that, Coach?
So they can find us on X and also on Facebook and also on YouTube. So just look for the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable YouTube page. But for X, you can find it on the Fancast. Same thing also for Facebook as well, and also Roundtable Facebook as well. So we do multiple platforms on that. And like I
Mhm.
said, we're gonna have a discussion on just a preseason, a couple new signings, and then the new schedule coming up, and then I look forward to see what they're gonna do. You know, I think they have a game coming up. I think the Houston Dynamo pretty soon. I think, and the only bad thing is that all the games are closed door, so we'll be able to get to watch
Yeah,
them
yeah, yeah,
and stuff. So but that's all right. Like I said, we got the March 7th. It's coming soon. So I'll be the whole opener, and then we're probably doing maybe another roundtable episode, maybe probably Thursday, depending if the games get pushed back, and especially if the conditions for the games like on
mhm,
Tuesday night or not don't
yeah,
improve. We could probably do Thursday. Probably come out with a new RPI for San Antonio. So like I said, I'll probably come from. I'll be at a hotel probably with some better internet. Like I said, luckily I got some good internet the last time there in Laredo, so I'll be doing that, and then hopefully I'll get back in time to watch some games on Friday night too. So hopefully also the
yeah,
weather holds up too, because I think we're
yeah,
expecting rain. I think too, probably Friday. So
yeah. I
we'll
think
see
we
how it
should.
goes.
It'll be a lot warmer, so I think
Mm.
we'll be fine. We'll be fine. So, um, oh, did I lose you there?
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
thought I lost your audio there for a second. Um, yeah, it'll be a lot warmer. I think we'll be fine. So it's to be expected this time of year, right? So, but yeah, I think shout out to a bunch of us, our chat today that jumped in here. So Scotty 3151, Matt Gomez as well. Didn't miss your comment, buddy. It's good to see a gentleman like you who cheers for a proper team, unlike Mr. Harry Austin, who I won't name the clubs he supports. Uh, Mo, big Mo at Mo Football. Kevin Gomez out at Yellow City Soccer as well. Thank you for chiming in here in our chat tonight. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you. Again, you can always send us whenever we're live here. Send us your questions, your comments, whatever you may have. We don't shy away from it. We love to have those on here. So thank you to all. Spread the word about the podcast. Again, go on there, like, rate, subscribe, jump on the YouTube, subscribe. That's the big one. Get on there, wherever you listen to your preferred podcast platform of choice. Go on there, give us a rating as well, and go on there, subscribe there as well. So being listened to in 72 countries, which is pretty cool. So that's one of my like favorite random stats that I would have never guessed when we launched this 5 years ago. So very proud of that, but just proud of all the relationships and everything that we've built along the way and what this has become. So thank you to everybody. We start to move towards final thoughts. First and foremost, I think safety. All right, just wherever you may be across the state, because we got. I mean, there was this. I was looking at it this morning on YouTube on one of the live weather channels for
9:35.
Texas. Yeah, no, I can't
Uh,
remember which one it was, but one of the live channels for Texas, it was talking about how it was, I think it was like 12 degrees in Amarillo, 12 or 18 degrees in Amarillo, and it was 74 in Brownsville. This is one state, right? So I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. Uh, so yeah, so I think it seems like the worst of it is about to come in over the course of the next, I don't know, maybe 12 hours or so. So wherever you are, be safe, try to stay warm, try to keep everybody hoping nobody loses power, nobody has to deal with that. So but look out for each other, take care of each other more than anything else. And yeah, that's really what I really mainly want to keep my final thoughts to. Best of luck to everybody as we continue with district play as well. District play here is now here officially for everybody. So looking forward to that, as even our smaller districts. So looking forward to that as well. And we'll be talking with Rafa to get another show in here, episode 6 of Inside Texas High School Soccer, much sooner, much sooner than another 3 weeks from now. So yeah, Rafa, final thoughts.
just final thoughts, just for everyone to be safe out there. You know, if you don't have to drive out there, don't. I know we probably have to send a shovel to Kevin up there up in Amarillo
Yeah, yeah.
for all the
Yeah, Kevin,
snow.
what's the temperature right now up there, up in, your neck of the woods?
Yeah,
So,
the
you gotta
phone
let
call
me
I called earlier because, like I said, my mom just called me. She says it's already they're starting to get ice over there in Del Rio already. So,
know.
and
Okay,
she was like, "Hey, have you gone?" She was like, kind of
yeah,
like telling me it was already coming in over there. So, yeah, yeah, be safe out there. If you have no reason to be out there, just stay home. Like I said, I already saw a video of a really bad accident here in I-35 that crashed
yeah,
into.
did you see the
Yeah,
sign? You
yeah,
talking about the sign one?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
saw that, I
just
was like, "Oof." Yeah,
if you do have to drive, uh, just be safe, drive slow. There's no rush, just that way you can get back home in one piece.
yeah,
But if you don't need to be out there, I guess just hunker down, stay home, and just enjoy
yeah,
your hot chocolate, or and then watch some good some
yeah,
movies on Netflix. And
yeah,
I'm sure Harry enjoyed the nice cold weather today, watching Real Madrid win today against
right.
Villarreal. So I'm sure he
Yeah.
enjoyed that one.
Kevin's in here saying it is 7 degrees Fahrenheit right now up in the Panhandle Plains, but it feels like a balmy -4 degrees. So yeah, stay warm, buddy. Yeah, that's the Colorado weather that you guys are getting up there, man. So yeah, I feel for you, but yeah, stay warm, buddy. Stay warm, and
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, yeah, just as Rafa said, if you don't have to be out, don't be out, man. Pretty simple, right? And stay at home. I mentioned earlier when we were talking about what are you watching, the man, what is it, Rip or something like that. This
Mhm.
movie I just watched last night with on Netflix, very good one. Matt Damon, if you're kind of into that, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. It was a very good movie, lots of twists. So very good movie. Uh, Load up on the series. Just finished Landman as well, so got to finish that up, season 2. Very good series. Gonna do a little bit of reading tonight, and I got a lot of film to watch for next week's district district matches that I have coming up for my girls as well. So stay home. Bottom line, right? And my understanding is everybody after rating HEB, everybody should be well stocked on toilet paper and water. So everybody should be good, man. Everybody should be good. So don't be out if you don't need to be out. Pretty simple,
Yep.
right? So that is going to do it. Again, what time tonight, Rafa? 8 p.m. for the SAFC fan
Yeah,
cast?
it's 7:45, 8 p.m. So yeah, going for the San Antonio SAFC Fancast. So we're gonna do some updates today on just a recap of the scrimmage versus Austin FC, the new signing they got from the player from New England Revolution, and also go over the rest of the preseason schedule, and then we'll talk about some supporter group stuff that's coming up. I know Matt's, like I said, me and Matt, part of the FTC 210 supporter group. There'll be a painting on the wall pretty soon, and a couple. We had a meeting with SSNE this week over the phone, and some positive things. We got a lot of these stuff, so it should be fun. So some
There you
fans should
go.
be,
Good.
so good
Oh,
things
hey, you know
coming
what
up.
I was going to ask you? Are you guys
Mhm.
going to have? I'm surprised I hadn't seen anything out from you guys on this. Is there going to be any SAFC two talk? Right, they
Oh
just
yeah,
launched
yeah. We're gonna talk. Yeah, we're gonna talk about
mention
that.
of their USL two team as well.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that because I think,
Yeah,
especially here for San Antonio, we have a lot of local young talented players, and I think this is a good way to develop some homegrown, and hopefully some of them end up being a part of the first team. And I know they do their trial. I think their tryouts. I know
hmm
this year they modified it this year because they only had it from age, I think, 18 to 24, I believe, and
hmm
so I think they want to get. I think they made a really great move. That way they can develop some of these players, and hopefully one.
So will this be like a bridge, I guess, between their academy and ETP program
Mhm.
now? Is that kind of what this will be, to
I
kind of that bridge between that and the first team, I guess? I mean,
Yes, because
I don't know.
previously they were playing. I think their academy was playing with the UPSL, so I
Mhm.
think it's going to be kind of three things. So they'll have the more of the younger, kind of U17, U18s, 16s playing
Yeah.
the UPSL, and then the USL two team. It's going to be kind of be some of your older players, and maybe the ones that don't get much playing time,
Like,
though. Especially,
these should be, like, current college guys.
yeah, college,
Yeah,
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 college
yeah,
kids or some high school kids too, because there are some
mhm,
that get signed with academy
yeah, yeah,
contracts.
yeah, yeah.
So like I know like one like Landry Walker's one, and so he
Mhm.
could end up getting more playing time. And if he needs to get called to the first team because of injuries, oh, here we go. So I think that was a smart move for them, especially last year with all the injuries. Last year we had to put in players that just didn't have much of a lot of the experience. This will kind of help them out because they're
Yeah,
still playing at a high level play, and a little rivalry too because now we get to play against Laredo Heat, so that'll
yeah,
be a good one.
yeah. Yeah.
So good. So we'll get to hopefully we get to support the players too, them as well, so for come
Right.
out to some of their games. But it's a good opportunity for a lot more of the
Yeah.
local youth to get in, have a shot to kind of bridge the gap, try to get to that first team.
Good deal. Oh, I think I lost
Yep.
your audio there
Can
for a
you hear
second.
me?
There you,
Hear me?
there you, there you
Okay.
go. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, hey, let's get out of here. That is going to do it. So be safe, stay warm, and we'll be coming back to you with episode 6 of Inside Texas High School Soccer very soon. So for my partner in crime and Coach Rafa Castorena, Mr. Freezing RPIs himself, I am your host, Coach Hector Cano, and you know what to do. Until the next time, keep downloading and keep listening. You've been listening to the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Help us continue to grow by liking, rating, and subscribing on all major podcast platforms. And don't forget to follow us on X at 50_50 pod, on Instagram at 50_50 podcast, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50 podcast. Until the next time, keep downloading and keep listening.